my beautiful friends. This is Rachel Archelaus here with another intuitive art show. And we have Carrie Roldan with us today. And I'm really excited because this is going to be kind of an unconventional episode where we're both going to compare notes on goals. Now, I know a lot of you are in like the spiritual realm, and I don't know about you, but when it comes to goals, I've always had a hard time. Yet I've always been really, self-competitive and driven and like all of these kind of conflicting things. So I'm so excited about today's conversation. Carrie is a master. She's also in the spiritual vein and a coach. So of course there's goals there. Can't wait to get started. But first, what we're going to do is we're both going to do a drawing, and then we'll compare notes and the conversation will go from there. So I'm inviting you to do a drawing too on what does goals mean to you, or maybe you have a goal and you want to draw that. So what we're going to do is pause this recording. We're going to do a drawing. You can pause this too and do your drawing, and then we'll all come back and share notes. So I can't wait. And then we will introduce Carrie and she'll talk about her drawing. So thanks for being with us, and pause, do your drawing, and unpause, and we'll start the conversation. All right, we are back. We've both done our drawing, and I can't wait to get started. But first, I want you to understand who Carrie is. So in my mind, she is my business BFF and someone I look to for inspiration on getting into my body and not just into, my chakras on the upper half. So she's going to tell us a little bit about where she's at right now and what she's got going on, and then we'll do the decoding. So Carrie, hi.
Hi, Rachel. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. Well, I'm always excited to be here with you, but especially on this topic, because I have a feeling that there's something that you and I both need to learn in this episode, and I'm so excited to find out what that is so we can share it with everybody who's watching. And who I am. Yes, I do consider myself a business BFF, and it's taken me quite a while to realize that actually the way that I can best serve heart-centered women entrepreneurs is through their physical bodies. Is what I've found is that we as heart-centered women entrepreneurs tend to know that we have these 4 energetic bodies: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. But gosh, do we often ignore the physical. And so I've spent the last 20 years of my, more than 20, I don't even want to tell you, like maybe 30, 30 something years of my life being an athlete, like dwelling in the land of the physical. But it wasn't until quite recently I realized that we as people who want to be aligned have work to do in the physical realm. So what I help people do is get into alignment on the cellular level. And for most heart-centered women entrepreneurs, that is has something to do with their hormones. So I have a program called the Body, Mind, Business Reboot, which starts with helping them get into hormonal alignment, which leads to alignment, as you know, on all levels. So that's sort of me in a nutshell.
I love it. And just so I can get clear too, in this program that you're running, are there goals? Do you encourage the women or men to set goals, or how does goals fit into that?
Yeah, so in that particular program, the goal is rebooting their hormones. So long story short, there are 7 essential hormones to metabolism. Most people come in with their particular set of goals, and lots of times it's a number on the scale, right? It's a weight loss goal. But that's not something I put a ton of focus on in the program, because I know that will come if they focus on healing those 7 essential hormones, basically healing their broken metabolism by focusing on, I can see where this is already going into a goal conversation, right? Focusing on one hormone at a time in a specific order.
Interesting. Okay, cool. So I want to know, what did you do your drawing on? What was your intention or question?
Yeah, so I knew we were going to do this show today, and I actually have a really big goal in mind. So I did some drawings this morning that were not they weren't what I just drew on. So I asked some specific questions this morning about like my particular big goal at the moment. But when you introduced the show, you said just on goals. And so the question I wrote to myself was, what do I need to know about goals? I thought that would be a good way to start the show. And you want me to share my drawing?
Absolutely, yeah.
So this was an interesting drawing. I don't know. Tell me if you can see it well.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay, so these colors, the brown in the middle, I always write it, that's environment. And so what I got is, in decoding this, is just that we have to create an environment where our goals can flourish. And, we can talk maybe more about what that means, but just in terms of, think about it as like a baby in the womb, right? You have to create this safe, loving, nurturing environment. So first we have to create the environment for our goals. Then the next thing I drew was this red like swirl, which for me, that deep red color, it means several things. It often means family, but in this time it means passion and fervor, and that like sort of that, what you were talking about, that drive in the beginning of the show. So that's what this is just, you need to have that passion, that fervor, that drive. So you have the environment for your goals, then you're going to implant the passion. And then the next thing I drew was this zigzag, this orange zigzag, which for me, orange is like creativity and joy and fun. So I like that it's like, okay, you have the environment, you create a safe, loving environment for your goals. Then you insert your passion, right? That clump of passion and drive, and then just play with it, right? Like have some fun. And then over and over again, actually what happened while I was drawing is that these two colors, it's actually three. I forgot there's a third color because there's a white one in there that you can't see. So there's three colors. The passion again, and then the black, which is time or divine timing. And then there's a white layer that we can't see, which is, for me, it's just like connection to the divine. So you have to have all those three things, right? You have to have the passion, the divine timing, and then you be connected to the divine. And I just like swept those over the whole thing 3 times in a row. But what I was going to tell you is those 3 colors actually landed, like they rolled off my desk and onto my paper. So I had to open my eyes to pick them up and then went through it that way. But I kind of like that the overarching, right, literally overarching theme is, be passionate about it, trust divine timing, and stay connected to the light. So that's my drawing on goals. That's what I needed to know about goals today.
That's awesome. I love that. Wow. All right. Also, there's something about that environment piece that I have too. And so I want to share mine with you, and then we can kind of talk about it. I did a slightly different question, which was show me the concept of goals as it relates to me. So kind of the same idea, right? Like how is this, what is this in my life? What does it mean to me? And so on the bottom, I got brown as well. And it's like this big swirl here. For me, it means basically the same thing, grounding. So whatever's on earth, like bringing my ideas down to earth or making them solid, creating an environment, out of them. And then I have green, which for me is creativity. And it's kind of like a hash over, if you want to play tic-tac-toe in there, you can. And then there's 2 more colors, a dark green, which for me is like deep introspection, like what I really, really want, like the core truth of what I want to create. And these bubbles of teal, which is my like creative healing color. So it's funny, this is telling me that having goals will help me make my deepest truth real. That is exciting, like that's really cool. And because there's so many little healing dots, I think I might understand why I've always had such a hard time with goals, because maybe I just haven't pushed myself through the resistance enough to get to the other side, because there's so much healing that needs to be done. So that's pretty profound for me at this moment. I'm kind of like, wow, that's really amazing. And I have a really big goal that was given to me by my higher self like last week, which shocked me because, I'll just put it this way. I've tried to have goals in the past. They probably weren't my truth, which is why they didn't work. But it's like every time I had a goal, the complete opposite would happen. Like statistically impossible things would happen so that I would not get anywhere near. I'd be like so far away from the goal, farther than I was to start with. Like that's my relationship with goals. On the other hand, though, when I don't make a goal and I'm just like, oh, I wish I could have that, as outrageous as it is, that always happens for me. I always manifest that. So it's so tricky. But this right now, how do goals relate to me, is mind blowing, and I'm really excited about it. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I have a ton of thoughts, and it actually goes all the way back to, when I was thinking about recording the show with you today, I was having similar thoughts. Like I'm often conflicted about goals. I think about, I used to coach high school and college athletes. And so that's just part of coaching, right? Is you sit down and say, okay, what are your goals? And, but there's also this thing, right? And then there's these like signpost on the way to your goals. So if I'm a runner and I want to run a 5 flat, I want to run under 5 minutes for the mile, right? Then we know in order to be able to run under 5 minutes on the mile by X time, like let's say 4 months from now, I need to be able to be hitting certain benchmarks along the way. And that worked fairly well as an athlete, but I always struggled with sort of other people telling me to be realistic in my goals. And I was thinking about that as I thought about the 5-minute mile today, because as I promise this will get to...
No, take your time. This is great. I like it.
Okay, we'll get
For
there.
those of you who don't know, my audience, I used to run track too. I was like, I've won so many awards and stuff. You probably don't know me as a... But yeah, I love hearing about all this.
Well, so in thinking about that, I realized like I had that goal in high school. I had that goal to run under 5 minutes in the mile in high school. And I didn't hit it. In my mind, I didn't even come close. In high school, I ran 5 minutes and 11 seconds. And while that's really fast for like the average human, I was so disappointed because I knew I was capable of more. I knew like I should be able to, I wasn't hitting a lot of my benchmarks in races, but I was hitting them in practice. And all that to be said, like I found the goal in high school almost detrimental. It almost held me back because I was so attached to it. So when you're talking about like, if I set a goal and then I get really attached to it, it doesn't happen, right? Almost the reverse of it happens. But when you just like, oh, I wish I could do that, then it comes to pass. But what I was thinking about with that 5-minute mile is it occurred to me just this morning, actually. I totally achieved that goal. I actually way surpassed it. I ran so much faster than just a 5-minute mile. It just took me a couple of years longer, right? Like it was my second year in college where all of a sudden I was like so much faster than that. And I think that's what was coming to me with the divine timing. It doesn't mean let go of your goals. It just means don't hold them so tightly. And I've been really using that metaphor a lot recently. Like you have to, and I use running metaphors all the time, but like if you hold that baton, if you're running a relay race and you hold it super tightly, if you hold it too tightly, actually it like tenses you up and slows you down and affects, like you can like even get an injury from running all weird with the baton. If you're holding it real tight, you might hit yourself in the face with it, right? But if you hold it too loosely, your hands will get sweaty and it might slip out, or when you go to hand off the baton, you might drop it, right? But if you just gently, if you hold that baton as if it were a part of you, as if you weren't, like you almost just let it melt into your hand and forget that it's a separate object, that's perfection on the track. And I think that's what our drawings are trying to tell us about our goals, is that we still need them. We just need to not be so darn attached to them that any deviation in our benchmarks, right? We can write out a plan. That's what everybody tells you, like set some goals, and they have the acronyms for goals, and they need to be achievable, and they need to have a time limit, and I mean, yeah, I guess that's a good framework to start with, but it's never worked for me. But I think the message, and I can see you nodding, so I'm knowing that is true for you, but I think the message for us is that doesn't mean throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah. I know. And it's funny. I see you're using, it looks like the Leonie Dawson planner, whose number one like framework for her business is goals. That's what she teaches. And she's super duper hippie, but is also the most successful hippie I've ever known. Like, multi-million-dollar business selling art and planning and, emotional realness. Like, she's amazing. And it's interesting, I really like how we're reframing this, in that goals, you need to find out what's personally going to work for you, how to approach them in a way that's going to motivate you to dig deeper and be more real and see more of yourself grounded in the world, but it doesn't backfire. So that's awesome. So tell me about, I don't know, I'm wanting to talk about body stuff, because I know you have a history of an eating disorder and, growing, you live in Southern California where you go outside and it's like everybody's boobs are huge and, has blonde hair down to their, what's, and I don't know. It's like, I get a little intimidated by that. I mean, I know we're going in kind of a weird direction here, but this is what's coming up. Like, my body's changing. I'm getting older. I'm almost 35, and I notice I have cellulite, and I'm having to do a lot more movement and keeping my circulation up. And there's so much going on in my body right now, and I do have goals to be more fit and look better and be healthier. So how can we approach that with this new information we have about goals?
Well, I think the important thing to remember is, well, first of all, yes, being in Southern California, living where I live and being who I am, like, I swear, I mean, I joke about it all the time, but I think I'm the only woman in Orange County that doesn't have a pedicure. And my husband and I recently went to a place called Fashion Island, which is like sort of like the apex of, I don't know, like, it's just a mall near where we live, but it's where like all the hoity-toity rich people are. And we had dinner there, and I just remember being like, what universe am I in? Like, all these people they're getting out of like orange Lamborghinis in their yoga clothes with their small dogs, going to this class in the mall, and they all have the same boobs and the same face. Like, I was like kind of freaked out by that. So that's neither here nor there, just a side note on that. But it was important for me to realize, like, wow, not my goal, right? Like, I don't want to have those boobs in that face. I'm actually quite content with my own boobs and my own face at the moment. But you asked a question about goals and on our body. And I think the important thing to remember is that, and we all know this, we forget when it comes to our own bodies, is that it's all connected. Like, if you have a goal in one area of your life, it will working toward that, I think, is something you and I need to explore together, Rachel, because I kind of am thinking we need to discuss the difference between goals and intentions, and that's important. But working toward your goal, or taking inspired action toward a goal in one area, is the next step that you need to take in another area of your life too. Like, if you have an area of your life that's in stagnation, or that you're confused, or that you're like, so often for the people that I serve, and I think you too, Rachel, right? It's their business. It's they're finding their purpose, right? They're at a stuck point, and they're doing a lot of stuff, a lot of mental stuff, a lot of maybe some journaling, or some, I don't know, I'm trying to think, like somebody's process or checklist or whatever. And actually, the next step you need to take in order to reach that goal is physical. It is going outside and going on a run. Or maybe it's balancing your hormones, or maybe it's, even smaller than that, right? Maybe it's doing 10 minutes of yoga every day. But it's in order to achieve that goal that you think you need, you might actually have to set a different goal. Like, does that make sense?
Totally. Absolutely. Yeah. Everything's connected. And in fact, this year I'm doing a lot of new things, a lot of very big new things. I'm having to learn a lot, implement a lot, grow my capacity a lot. And it's been exciting, but I've had to implement much more physical things and routines in order to help me stay focused enough to achieve that without burning out, because I don't do anything I don't want to do. And so the minute it starts to feel like work, I just don't do it. So I know for me, wanting to enjoy my process, I had to do those things. So I've started doing every single day some yoga, some strength, like weights or rebounding, cardio, and also meditation, formal meditation, because normally I would just do it at night. But yeah, exactly, because everything is connected and I'm one being.
Yeah. And too much. I think that we forget, like, and this is, I think, the difference between a goal and an intention is they're so connected. Goals and intentions are connected. Like, that's, if I set a goal for something, it's because I also intend to achieve it.
Can you kind of tell us though, like, what is the difference between those two things?
Well, so I think the big difference is, this is the way I'm going to say it, because we can all get caught up in semantics and you can look up definitions of things, but this is the way that I'm seeing it at this moment, is that a goal and intention are actually connected, and that the goal is actually the goals are the things that you need to do along the way in order to get whatever it is that you intend, that life that you want, the $1 million that you want, the whatever. So the goals are maybe the goals are the benchmarks, or the goals are the things that require inspired action. So sometimes when especially those of us in the spiritual world, and I'm betting you and I are both really guilty of this, where we're like, I don't want to have goals. I don't want to be so driven. I don't want to be so timeline focused, right? I believe that if I intend something, it will come to pass, right? Like, and I think what at least my drawing said, and I think what your drawing was also saying is, yeah, but the goals are going to help that intention come to pass.
Yes. And what I noticed when I received my goal about, 2 weeks ago, a week ago, was that it made me excited. And this drawing made me excited because I'm all about digging deeper and being more real, really realizing my truth more. That's the only reason I'm in business anyway. Realize my potential and, all that great stuff. So if a goal is going to help me get more excited and dig deeper into it, then I'm on board, completely on board. So I love that. And you're talking about inspired action, right? That's how we know it's the right action, because it's inspired. And so that is excitement as well. So we're matching up excitement for a goal. Inspired action is excitement. So that makes sense to me in a spiritual way, right? If you're a Bashar lover, or even Abraham Hicks probably talks about this, like, you have to follow your excitement. That's the whole complete package. It's got everything you need in it. Follow your excitement and you're good. So yeah, that makes sense.
But what you said is so important, because I had this goal earlier this month. Like, I think I got this goal, same as you. It was like a download. It was crazy big. I have no idea how I'm going to accomplish it. But it dropped in, right? And if I just leave that as an intention, and that just means that I say, hey, everybody, I had this intention, which I did, by the way. I got so excited about it. I immediately emailed a bunch of people. I made them a video saying, I have this goal. I don't know how it's going to happen, but I know it's going to happen. Like, if I would have left it at intention and not actually every day woken up and gone to my intuitive art and been like, all right, what do I need to do today? Or gone into meditation or gone on a run and like done the asking that I do, then it would just sit there as an intention and it would eventually come to pass. But I think the reason it dropped in as a goal, it's not actually for me to achieve it. I hope that I do. That would be rad because I know I'm going to achieve it. Like it came in with the timeline. It came in like, I will register this many people in this many days for my program without a launch. And I'm like, okay, but the only way I know how to enroll people into my program is through launching it. But what the goal did was stretch me to think differently. It stretched me to ask different questions. It stretched me to get out of my comfort zone in a way that is fun, right? Because the fun of it is like, okay, I've got this goal. I'm going to do everything I can to accomplish it. And getting out of my comfort zone isn't fun. But if I think that it's inspired, right? Like, okay, I'm just going to be obedient and I'm going to do this because it's going to get me toward my goal. It changes the energy around it. So I'll stop talking because I see you nodding.
Oh, I'm just agreeing. I mean, I think that that's so important. And I want us to disclose our goals because I think that's part, right? So when I got my goal, I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking, what am I going to teach my certified intuitive artists in our monthly meeting? The first thing that came into me was daily habits, because last month we had talked about, what kind of energy we want to live in this year, which is kind of a goal. And so I was like, okay, what can we do to support that? Like I just told you guys, I'm into yoga every day and meditation. And but that did not light me up. It did not, it felt so dull in the moment. And then this like thing came in. It's like, talk about goals. And you've got a goal, girl. This goal is to reach 1 million people with intuitive art this year. And A, it made me very excited. And B, it made me like a little confused. Like, how am I going to do that? That's a lot of people. But just like you said, in the next instant, I was like, well, magazines reach a lot of people. I was thinking about pitching magazines anyway. I mean, I follow people with more than 1 million people subscribe to their YouTube channels. That's not a big deal. When I really thought about it, like there are tons of pretty straightforward ways. I won't say easy, but straightforward ways of reaching 1 million people or more, tons more with intuitive art, especially since I've already got press releases out. I'm launching a book this year. People are already excited and lined up to support me. Like it's in the bag, right? And it made me excited, which is what I needed. And also goals, what I received in the moment was that a big goal energizes other people who can help you because everybody wants to be energized. When I got your video about your goal, I was like, yes, let's have you on the show. So does that make sense? So it's energizing to us, gets us in action, but it energizes those around us as well who want to support us.
Yeah. And thank you for just like outing us, right? And saying, okay, we need to say our goals. So my big goal was to register 30 people in 30 days for my program with, basically like no real marketing funnel in place. But yeah, exactly the same thing happened, right? One, new funnel opportunities opened up the minute I declared it. And people say, write it down, put it on, like I coach runners, right? So I would tell them, write your goal time, stick it on your mirror. And I think that's all well and good, but there's something really powerful about declaring it and, declaring it in a vulnerable way, right? Just like you did, saying 1 million people, holy crap, I'm just little old me. And this actually, I don't know if this is related, but it came to me this morning and it's been sort of a theme through my day, but I got this big reminder this morning that, Carrie, you've shed one identity so far in your life. You used to think that you were your body or that your body was you, and you've shed that. And congratulations, pat on the back, Carrie, way to go. And the next thing you need to shed is that you are your business, or that your business is you, because you're not. You need to shed that. And I kind of feel like declaring those big goals allows you to do that, allows me to do that, because if I were my business, could I really do that? Could I really reach that many people? Could Rachel really reach 1,000 people? But or 1,000,000 people, or 1,000, but could Rachel really do that? Could I really do that? But when you're, separate yourself from that a little bit, and just like declare the goal that it exists separately from coming to you and through you, there's so much freedom in that. And this is a practice that I did, but I think maybe it will help your intuitive art students. Last week or 2 weeks ago I have a show called the Carrie Roldan Show. I interviewed Michael Light, and I don't know if he told me on air or afterwards, but he said, write a letter to yourself from future you that tells you exactly what you did to get there. And I've done lots of future self visualizations, and like that's a huge part of the work I do with myself and with other people, but I'd never actually done it. And he said, make sure you write it in past tense. Make sure it's coming to you from like, hey girl, don't worry, this is what we did. It's not a big deal. And I did that, and so much peace and freedom. And again, that excitement and that fun and the joy came. But instead of coming from, so this is where I think it's important. Instead of coming from me, my small self, my worry, my fear, my brain thinking how, like could reach out to so-and-so who has a big YouTube following, but would they take me seriously, blah, blah, blah. When it comes from my higher self, and she's just like, or my future self, and she's just like, here's what we did, it worked out beautifully, then it makes taking that step, it changes the energy in taking that step.
I love that. That is great. Yes, that's great. And I think oftentimes we know what we kind of are leaning toward, like for me, I've had, Pitch Magazine, I've got some ideas, and I've even talked to a publicist about it, gotten strategy, but I haven't done it yet. And then when the goal came in, it was like magazine was the first thing that came to mind. It's like ding, ding, ding. So that's great to do that letter from your future self. We're actually having Michael Light on the show, so we'll be able to talk about that. And I was just on his podcast. Great guy. And I think he recommended me, so thanks for that.
You're welcome.
Gosh, that's great. So I love that we both disclosed our goals, because in the past, I think I've always been afraid of that. And like you said, it's not really about, did I cross the line on this date or before this date? It's the energy it's creating and the momentum it's creating and the community it's fostering. And that's really, really exciting. And one thing I want to mention that goes along with what you were saying about how it's not really about us anymore. We're detaching from it. Lady Gaga, why she really kept to that name is because she said, Stephanie isn't big enough for that. Stephanie is too shy for that. Stephanie can't support that. And so she can still be her real name in her house, but as she walks out the door, she's Lady Gaga, and she wouldn't have been able to have the kind of success she did under her own name. So I think there's definitely something to creating an entity, having a separate thing happen. And I totally feel that with intuitive art. It's intuitive art. It's not me. I'm maybe, coordinating what intuitive art does, but it's really not under my control. And so that makes so much sense.
And there's so much freedom. I mean, I think everybody who's achieved anything amazing, right, recognizes like they're just a bit player in that thing that they were, or their personality, I should say, is just a bit part, right, in the amazingness of the thing that got to come through them. And they have so much gratitude for that they got to play a part in the creation of something and the execution of something, whatever it was, right? Like they feel so grateful and honored to have been a part of that movement, or that, if they composed a great song or whatever it is. And I just find that that's a beautiful way to look at our goals, is like, all right, there's this goal that dropped in to me, right? And both you and I are talking about goals that dropped in, but it could just as easily have been a goal that I just decided on, right? Like the difference is if I just decided on it, actually I should say this. If I tried to figure out the how, because I do believe I made a decision a few weeks before that led to the goal dropping in. Like I made a very clear decision, maybe it was only a few days, but that I made like a shift in the way that I handled my business, where I made the decision to stop scrambling and just trying to do stuff to make money or to is this my image or that, like to stop doing all of that. And I just decided to know that I create plenty of money, plenty of clients, plenty of customers, like I create plenty from joy and ease. So that came in, right? I made that decision first, and then not too long later, this goal drops in, right? And I forget what I was saying about that. So if you could bring me back, that would be helpful.
Well, I just want to point out that distinction you made, because I think when we decide goals, it's probably out of a place of overcompensating or coming from an old wound or trying to prove something to ourselves. And those are the goals that tend to end up going nowhere. And so if you've lost confidence about goals because you've decided to have the goal, like I used to do, it's don't feel bad. You're not out of goal territory just because that used to be your experience. Because I can definitely see where I was trying to like do it the right way or like be what I thought I should be, instead of like what we're experiencing now, kind of this more authentic, gentle goal that's giving us excitement. If you are having a goal and it's making you feel tense and heavy, that's not the right goal for you. Your goal should feel light and airy and free and exciting. So that's a really good point.
And as you were talking, I was thinking about this new way of thinking about goals, and what came up in my drawing about the timing, trusting the timing. And what's been happening since I made that decision is if I were to just rely on logic or the old way of thinking about my goals, like I would look at this month and go, I'm not on track. I'm not on track to meet that goal. Even though some cool stuff has started to happen, like things, I mean, just that, right? Like you said, hey, be on the Intuitive Art Show. Let's talk about who knows where this will lead. Maybe nowhere. Maybe it will lead to 100 people signing up. Like, I don't know. But if I were to look at the benchmarks and from my left brain or my logical mind go, okay, that means X amount of people registered per week. It means X amount of people by this time. It means whether it means one a day or what. If I were to do that, I would start to be discouraged by now. Like I would get to today and be like, crap, I'm way behind. But recent experience has taught me that if I just stay the course, if I just do what I'm inspired to do, if I just continue to be connect, do my practices, connect with my higher self, listen to what's coming to me through intuitive art, my goal happens. And if it doesn't happen by, where it's March when we're recording this, so if it doesn't happen by the last day in March, I'm not going to stress out. But I also know that not stressing out often makes it happen on March 29th or like something miraculous happens if I can just let go of feeling behind or feeling like just sort of, okay, you've got your goal. You're doing your part by stretching and listening and growing and like staying in your, and maybe this is such a Rachel thing to talk about, but keeping your vibration high through all of it, it does come to pass. Maybe a few days late, maybe a few weeks late, maybe 10 days early, but it happens.
Yeah. And maybe we should talk about what our part is, because you mentioned, keeping your vibration high and staying positive, not being stressed out, doing your inspired actions. But I think also what's been helpful for me is meditation and EFT. So if I'm feeling like I'm recurring in this pattern of, oh, I'm not going to make it, I'm not going to make it, this is impossible, or whatever, or it's not good enough, doing the EFT on those specific things has really helped me to release those old patterns. And meditation also helps me keep my vibe high, but also identify if I'm fixating on something. Like if I sit down and all I can think about is, oh shit, I forgot to email this person, or I've got this on my to-do list and it's been there for 3 days, like that, I know I need to address that in some way, either EFT or get it done or figure out how to make it fun or something. So constantly checking in with yourself and not just avoiding it, but being present with it. That's part of it. You can't just like, not that you're saying this, but maybe in the past I've done this where I'm just like, oh, my vibe's high, I'm great, it's going to happen. And then it's like, whoa, where did it, nothing happened. So being present and knowing your energy and checking in on how you're feeling about it and all that is really part of this.
Yes, I like what you said about, like, if you know something has to be done and it's not something that it's something you're avoiding or something that's not feeling fun or high vibration, that the answer isn't to just say, well, that doesn't make me feel good, so I'm not going to do it if it really needs to get done, right? The answer is, the question is, how do I make this, right? Can I delegate it? Can I make it fun? Can I, right? How can I get to where this action gets done? By me, by somebody else, by I think it's you, Rachel, who's asked me, often, what's the third option, right? Because so often I'll get stuck in that, like, well, I either have to, just lie in bed and watch Gilmore Girls all day, or, do this action in my business. It doesn't sound like any fun at all. Well, if I want to keep my vibration high, I have to lie in bed all day and watch Gilmore Girls because doing this action in my business doesn't seem fun, and I tend to make it an either or. And so I love, you've oftentimes been that voice in my life that has said, what's the third option? Right? How can it get done and you keep your vibration high? And that's such an important word for all of us, but that and instead of or, like, it's huge.
Yeah, I know we got to start wrapping up, but I've heard recently from a lot of people who are in that position right now, who maybe want a business, maybe want to try it out, but they feel like they can't regulate themselves right now, so they don't know what to do. So they're in that like, well, I'm not good enough to be a teacher because I'm not doing the thing I don't want to do. It's like they're stuck, completely stuck, and they're not even getting started with what they think they want to do. I would say, all the things we've talked about, right? Checking in with yourself, asking yourself these questions, do some intuitive art, figure out why you're not moving forward or what it is you really want. Asking yourself what you want in a very safe space is like magic because it'll give you energy, just like we're talking about here. But I want to actually change course a tiny bit. And I want to ask you, because we have a lot of business people watching this, and I talked a little bit about my inspired actions of what I'm going to be doing to get to 1 million people. Did you get any inspired actions of how to get to your goal? And how can we support you in reaching this goal? What can we do to help?
Well, so yes, I did get an inspired action, and I'll tell you in one sec, because I want to make sure that when you were talking about that person who's been in their headspace and you were talking about they want to start a business, but they don't know what their thing is. I would encourage you all to get into alignment on the cellular level, right? To actually join my Body, Mind, Business Reboot program. So that could be one way that it could be a win-win, right?
Absolutely.
I could support you in getting into alignment on the cellular level and addressing the physical, because, oh my gosh, you guys, so often we in this hippy dippy, airy fairy, heart centered, aligned, energetic business realm, we tend to spend a lot of time on the mental, emotional, and the spiritual, and we neglect the physical. And so just by connecting those, right, by getting into alignment on the cellular level, magic can happen. So there's that. So, but what actually
where can they go to find that?
Oh, that's a good question. You can go to carrieroldan.com/reboot, and that will take you to my sales page for my program. But and actually there's a hormone quiz too, if you're wondering if your hormones may be out of alignment. You can go to carrieroldan.com/hormone quiz. But you asked if anything came in for me.
Yeah.
And it did, and it's scary. And it doesn't quite make sense yet. And I don't know, because it doesn't feel like it's in alignment with where I've been heading with my business.
Wow, I feel that. Ooh, that's juicy. Can you share it?
Yeah, I'll share it. So it's over and over again. People have been telling me this for a while, and I'm like, I don't understand that. It doesn't make sense. But it came in again. It was like, go talk to local gyms, like fitness centers. And I'm like, but my ideal client is this, they get the whole aligned space, and it's sort of like saying, yeah, but go to gyms. Like, your people are there. They just don't know they're your people yet. And so that's terrifying. So that is when I did my intuitive drawing this morning, there's like a big fancy Equinox club that has just opened up recently. And that's my action for today, is to contact somebody at that club, find out who I need to contact, and like make that appointment. And I'll tell you, that is bringing up all kinds of scariness and insecurity. And like, how do I even talk about my program in that? It's called Body, Mind, Business Reboot. Like, but because I'm excited about the goal, because it came in and it's inspired, I'm taking action on that in faith, like trusting that it's the next best step, even if I don't yet understand how. And then your third part of your question was, how can you guys support me? And I think it's just share this video, spread the word, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And, I mean, maybe it's that I don't know. I guess the question is, who do you know? Like, who do you know that is feeling fat, foggy, frustrated, exhausted, overwhelmed, and stuck in their business, and is ready to make a change, to unite, right? Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, and send them my way.
I love that. So good. Yes. Doing the big scary things. I'll tell you, just to wrap up, last week I met with a nonprofit in my local area, and I've been volunteering with them for 2 years, and it still took me 3 weeks to get an appointment. I mean, you'd think that if you want to give somebody money, they'd be all overjoyed, but they're overworked. They're underpaid. Most people there are volunteers. Like, they don't have time to meet with somebody. And since it's the business side that I met with, they don't know me personally. And other nonprofits I've contacted in the past never even wrote me back. So I was pushing all my buttons too. I was like, this is weird. They're not going to get it. It's not really the same. What if they think we're like religious, or, I had all those things going through me as well. And, I've never made this kind of proposal before. So I just kind of threw something together. Honestly, it was so easy. I was there for less than 10 minutes. They loved it. They kept thanking me for being so organized. And it was fabulous. So I think the same thing will happen to you. You know what? Maybe some people won't get it, but most people probably will. And if it's inspired, then everything is in your favor. So we're so excited for you. And yes, everybody share this video. Carrie is amazing. I've known her for so long now, and she's always my go-to. She's inspired me to do so much more than I thought I could. And I just really love her. I know that if you're in her program and around her for these, however long, it's 21 days or more.
30 days, yeah.
30 days, your life is going to change for the better, and you're going to be able to keep her wisdom with you forever and ever. So Definitely. Let's all help her achieve this goal because it excites us and it makes us feel good to do that too.
Thank you. And that's so important to share. So one, thank you. Because I just think the world of you. I love you so much. And yes, I'm so grateful that we have been in each other's spheres of influence and be able to lift each other as we climb. It's just my favorite thing ever. But I totally forgot what I was going to say. Let me see if it comes back.
How it makes us feel good to help other people? Or
Thank you. Yes. Oh my gosh, that's like my favorite thing in the world to do. And I think that's another thing about our goals, right? Is we're like, I have this goal, but I have to figure it out all by myself. And no, you don't. One, that's why coaches exist. But beyond that, like people, it's human nature to want to help other people reach their goals. It's human nature to celebrate with other people when they reach their goals. Like, hello, think about the Olympics and knowing the backstory behind the people in the Olympics. And then you're like personally invested in their lives and in their success. And so just, I guess what I'm saying is thank you for forcing me to be a little bit vulnerable with my goals, because I feel the love and the encouragement and the excitement of the people who are watching this. And we're just recording it right now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So everybody, I'll have links for you down below in the show notes and on YouTube, but also it's just carrieroldan.com/reboot or carrieroldan, ROLDAN.com/ and what's the hormone thing?
Hormone Quiz.
Hormone Quiz. Okay, guys. Lots and lots of love. Share your drawings with us. Share this video, and we'll talk to you soon on the next episode of the Intuitive Art Show. Bye, Carrie. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to intuitive art and you've never done it with me, go to intuitiveartacademy.com for your free class. You'll learn how to have a conversation with your higher self in 3 easy steps. That's intuitiveartacademy.com. And if you're already a pro or you've done the free class and you want to learn more about creating abundance from your purpose, go to workyourpurpose.com and you'll watch a free video series all about what it takes to create a purposeful income from doing what you love. All right, enjoy, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.